Welcome to the Berks Homes podcast, the business of building homes. I'm Katie. I'm here with my brother Ben, and today we are talking about career paths in home building. We touched on this the last time we were talking about family business, kind of where our careers started, and it kind of sparked the thoughts. There could have been so many different ways we got where we are today, and we're also headed to the International Builder Show next week, and there are just thousands and thousands of people there supporting the home building industry. So I thought this would be a good time to talk about career paths.
Very good. I just thought of something. One of my favorite things to see is in our company specifically when somebody goes from one department to another.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like totally different, but they've learned what they've learned and they are excited about something different. You know, Jess, she just moved into a sales role from the experience team. And that's a good place to start, like career paths. Like if you come into a department, whatever role that is, there's always kind of like a tangential department that you work with the most, and it could possibly develop into, you know, a different path.
Absolutely.
So with your experience department, just experience, not marketing, why is that such a great place to start if you're going to be customer facing?
Oh, great question. The experience department kind of touches every department because we're a support service. So we can interact with anyone in a customer facing role or pretty much anyone in the entire company, actually. So it's a great place to start if you're wanting to do anything with customers, because it is a customer service department internally. So we serve everyone in the company, so it's great practice for the ultimate customer home buying experience also.
Because that's really, you can have all the tactical, you know, stuff and worry about, you know, sales strategies and everything. But if you miss the point on how to give the customer a great experience, it doesn't really matter.
Well, we definitely call anyone that we hire into our department more of a cultural hire than a technical hire at any time, because technical skills can be learned very easily when it comes to what we do.
Greatest lesson in the world that we've learned over our careers and our experience here is if you have a good cultural fit, they're like a Swiss Army knife sometimes. Because like you said, you can teach technical skills. You can't teach culture.
Exactly.
You know, you can refine your skill set, your soft skills. You can make improvements in, you know, how you interact with people, you know, touch up the core values a little bit. But for the most part, you know, you are or you aren't a cultural fit for an organization. And so that's the beauty of kind of these movements within the company, changing positions. And it's different than it used to be. It really is.
In what way?
It's different because the opportunities have expanded. So when you were working for a home builder in the 80s or 90s,
I see where you're going.
You're like, all right, you are administrative, you are in the field, or you are in sales.
That's
I mean, an administrative means you're like accounting, HR, right? These are small businesses usually. And even, you know, in our business, when we had a bunch of people, you just kind of fell into three buckets. And, you know, sales was more like, or marketing was more sales. It was just like marketing was stuff you did, but it was sales. And now it's like, I'll use Brandon Emick as an example. He is our VP of technology. What did he do when he started?
He was hired as a draftsperson.
So he was technical. And then he kind of had this interest in the estimating side and how they interacted with the drafting side. And
through technology, though.
Through technology, yeah. And this has all evolved since technology has become, you know, an integral part of construction.
Yeah.
And running
Thank
jobs
goodness,
and everything.
finally.
Yeah, right. And then he started doing estimating stuff, purchasing, estimating, and then fell in love with technology in general. And I think he probably did most of his work at night in terms of learning.
Oh, sure.
You know, it wasn't like this formal thing. And now he's just climbing the ranks, and he's a VP of technology, and he knows so much about reports and software and everything.
I like where you're going with this, though. If you think about all of the people who have been here 15 plus years, not one person is in almost even the same department as when they started.
Yeah.
And
oh, man, yeah.
Again, going back to all the different ways that you can get from point A to point B in your career in the home building industry, it is taking a piece of every single, skill that exists and puts it all together in one company.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of companies are like that. Manufacturing. I mean, every business has an aspect of all, like you said, admin, sales, actual operations.
Yeah.
They're all
we call it field operations and something. Exactly.
Every business has something like that. But the complexity of what home building is kind of amplifies it. It's like an exponential impact in comparison to a lot of other kind of businesses and industries because of the length of time it takes and the number of other supporting businesses involved.
Yeah.
So it's not just one supplier or, like you're making a backpack or something.
Right.
You're going to have a couple suppliers. Supplying a couple pieces of things, and it's going to the plant.
Yeah.
And then you have the same people putting it together every time.
It's kind of small.
Yeah. This is like, take that times, 1,000.
Well, and like you said, the Builder Show is kind of a great example of opportunities within the industry. And you're constantly canvassing. If you've ever been to the Builder Show, massive, 100,000 plus people there with, I don't know, millions of square feet displays. And I mean, if you tried, you wouldn't be able to physically look at every booth in the place. But
not even over the course of 3 days.
Right.
I feel like I've tried.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Right. But you go past and you're like, that's not just a
thing?
booth, that's a business. That's a segment of an industry within the big industry. And it's mind-blowing. And you're like, they have a whole company of people. These are just the people representing this business in this space and time. And they have an office somewhere and they're doing this, and it's all gutter guards or something. And you're just like, I mean, it really is.
You make that much money from that one piece that goes on a house.
That you can be at the Builder Show for 3 days and have a booth.
Yeah.
It is remarkable. And then just to bring it back to our business, you think there's vendors and trades. So vendors supplying products and then trades installing. And just on the trade side, you have, you're going to typically see between 20 and 30 different, trades probably more like 15 to 18 or something on a single home. And then vendors, suppliers, another 10 or something like that. And that's just on one home.
Right.
But the support businesses for those 30 companies double, quadruple to get us what we need to build a home.
Right.
And I mean, just look at your email inbox on a daily basis. I call it spam, but solicitations for new business. And it's all quasi-relevant. Some of it's completely irrelevant. But now with technology, it's like overwhelming.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about all the different opportunity in the home building industry, like you just said, suppliers, actual installers, and then the management of it, that's our piece. Now that technology is on the scene, there is a support technology for each of those
disciplines.
parts.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think, we're just talking about the immensity of the industry right now, this entire time. But really the point of us talking about this is the opportunity is astounding.
It really is.
And I am delighted that we get to participate in that. We get to offer anyone who wants to, work with us an opportunity, because it's a demand that's never going anywhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's highs and lows with the demand, obviously, but people need a place to live, and we are around, for the long haul to make that happen. And that means that we get to participate in that opportunity for hundreds of people.
Yeah. Well, I always look at the Builder Show like my fake goal is always to never pay for anything. I mean, because why would you? Because you have just hundreds of people just like throwing stuff at you for the opportunity for your business. And that's
Don't you feel guilty?
Not really.
Oh.
No, I stopped that a long time ago because they're doing their job. That's their job.
True.
And that's
true.
what they want to do.
Well, this is why I said that. I do feel guilty if I know that I'm not.
Well, think about this. The amount of, there's, let's just say three dinners.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just going for 3 days,
there's
3 dinners. That's 3 opportunities. I'm not going to just take a free meal from somebody I'm never going to work with.
That's my point.
Hundreds of people would love to have the opportunity to sell you something or create a relationship.
Yeah.
So I'm picking my 3 that are the biggest bang for the buck. But
the ones that you're creating an actual relationship with.
Either have a relationship.
Yeah, that.
Or, looking to create a new one. And I mean, I just say that because it's funny, but the reality of it is it's all there, and it's what you want to do with it. I mean, if you want to engage somebody on that level to go out to dinner, that's typically something that's pretty serious. Like you want to work with this person. Or most of the time for us, it's like a thank you, for all the years of business. But it just shows you how much there is out there, and it's overwhelming. And so you do have to kind of be really vigilant about paring it down.
Yes.
And I've already had 3 or 4 companies reach out, we want to set up a time to meet.
Yeah.
And a couple of them, I was just like, I'm not interested because I only have a limited amount of time. And it's just not something that works for me or us. Mm-hmm. But I do want to go back to like not just the industry as a whole, but our business and what we're trying to work on in terms of creating those opportunities, like a clear opportunity. Yes. I think if you look historically, it's mostly the people that have evolved from perhaps one department to another or, maybe started out even years ago, entry level, and now they're a leader.
Yes.
The key similarity in all those people is their drive. They pushed that. We didn't have this very clear, okay, if you do a great job at this and you develop into a leader, this is where you can go next. I mean, that's what we're trying to work on.
Right.
To take kind of the muscle out of it. Because that's what it is. The people that are in those positions now, they created them.
Yes.
They made themselves so indispensable in what they were doing that they forced you into saying, hey, well, this is obvious. I mean,
this is definitely the next step.
This is the person for that. And what we want to do is take that friction out of it.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
It's like you can either A, lock into that path or B, create another one.
Yeah, if we kind of boil it down to the main path, and this is the one that we probably talk about creating the most right now, is the path to become a GM.
A general manager. What's a general manager?
A general manager is the manager over a region. So basically the franchise owner, if we want to say it that way. That's not actually the true definition, but that's the most similar way to describe it. And so if you look at that as the number one path that we are trying to make as clear and defined as possible, what happens if we set someone on that path, it can break off into so many other paths of development.
Right.
So the key is to get that one defined first, and then the ancillary development paths will kind of fall in place afterwards.
Right.
And that's what's naturally happened already. But to your point, we want to make it, kind of set in stone. If this is what you want to do with your life, this is the easiest and quickest and most effective way to get there.
Right. Can I say what I would recommend as that path?
Yeah.
To a
Oh,
GM?
please, let's go there.
I think most of us agree that if you're a sharp person with some drive and want to kind of achieve the most varied experience in your career here, looking towards a GM as a future possibility, you start in the field.
Yep.
You start as a superintendent. You understand how to. You don't need experience building homes. That's what we pride ourselves on, that we could take somebody that has some drive and initiative, and we can teach them how to build a home, and we can teach them how to manage.
Yes.
And interact with a ton of different people in that role. Superintendent's a very challenging role, but it's also that's why it would be the first one for a reason. So you could get some experience running jobs in the field, and then there's kind of two ways you could go from there. You could jump right into a sales role, which it's a lot easier to sell a home when you know how to build one.
Yes.
It's just it's not required, but it will.
Again, that's the easiest way to go to the next step.
Right. You could go down the sales path, or you could take a little break into cost control, where you understand in each region we have a business analyst. They're all about understanding the costs and holding, their region accountable to the budgets that are created. And then that's a different look into kind of flowing into the financial aspect of it.
Yes.
Understanding, because we have regions that are on their own P&L, so they operate only within that financial report. They're not accountable for the other regions' financials. They just have their own. So they have a business plan and they work towards it. And the business analyst would be a good place to at least have a stop in, either before or after sales.
Yeah.
I would say probably before would be best. And then you go into sales as a community sales rep. You learn how to interact with people a lot and do customer care. And then I think from there, the best way is to be a sales manager. Now you're really refining your management skills. You have the sales skills, you have the production background, you have the cost control background, and now it's all about managing people and the business plan. Yeah. And if you have the cost control background, you're able to understand how to set the prices a lot better. Hopefully from your sales background, you'll know what drives customers, how to deal with, resolve conflict, all that stuff. Yeah. And then once you're a manager like that, now you're having to navigate all the other managers in your region.
Yeah.
And you can separate yourself as a leader. And then
within the management team.
Yeah. And that's what, we're always looking for, is people who are leading without the title. A leader among leaders. And then that kind of gives you that 360 view of selling, starting, and settling homes.
And that is our main business.
Yep. And then you give yourself a good shot at being a general manager.
Yeah.
Now, that's a long time, right? I mean, you're probably talking about 10 years minimum to get there within those positions. But so we haven't done that yet. We haven't had the regionalization for that long, but man, that would be really cool.
That's the
to
end
see
game.
That.
Now,
but go ahead and talk about the other paths you could go.
Yeah. Well, then you've got, kind of there's the dark horses of the management team. You could take the path of going through warranty because that gets you both the field experience and the customer interaction at the same time.
Sales-ish.
And then the same way, land acquisition
Yeah.
is the same. Again,
Correct.
it's a lot of field experience, but also a lot of partnership negotiation. There's a lot that plays into that because of the developer relationship.
Right.
And township and all of those things. It's a little different level. So you're kind of doubling up on some of those skills.
Right.
And to get into the management role of either one of those as well is a huge leg up to the path. And again, you can get to management in warranty, in land, through being in the field, being in a superintendent or in sales.
Yeah.
So it's almost the direct path, and just to acquire the technical pieces of it is the, building and selling.
Yeah.
But
the regional stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty much any path you take up through the management level in a region is probably going to get you, especially if you do more than one department, is going to get you the skill set that you need to get there. Now, we'll define it a little more than that, but that's the really nice thing about where we're going with this is even when we define the path, it won't exclude opportunity from anyone that has acquired it a different way.
Absolutely.
And that's, I think, what you keep touching back upon is the ability to create your own path if that's your, if you decided.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to make this next step. I'm interested in this. I believe I can do it. I'm good at it. I'm going to take the step from this department to that and develop my skill set. That opportunity is always available in our organization and is actually, impressive.
And encouraged.
It's encouraged. Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Well, we love to see, just imagine if somebody laid that out for you, one of your team members and said, I've acquired these skills over these positions, and what do you think about this as my next step?
Yeah.
That's what you want. You want people connecting the dots. And ultimately they could start out in a region and say, my goal isn't to be a general manager. I've just kind of landed in this cost control role or warranty role, and I love this.
Yeah.
I want to be the best at this.
Right.
And
everybody we have to have people choose, this is where I want to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have, we have our whole director level at the home office that's not in a region that they've kind of refined their skill set within, their department, and they're kind of the expert, subject matter experts across the whole company for whatever they do. And that could be a path as well.
Yeah.
You have somebody in warranty that says, I love warranty. I want to be the best at this. And they grow. They're a warranty manager in a region. And then, the director of warranty retires.
Right.
And they say, that's my landing spot. I don't want to be a GM. I want to be the director of warranty. I want to be the VP of something. That's always a left turn that you could make quickly as well when there's opportunity.
And what we've been talking about for more so based around our core tenets of selling, building, and settling.
Yeah.
But we have how many support departments to make that happen. So we have people who can start in our accounting department.
Yeah.
And then move into the, business analyst role or estimating or something like that. We have compliance teams.
Right.
We have, there's so many support services that we have. Well, I have a great example. We have a new hire that's starting with us on Monday. When I say new hire, it's a transfer from human resources into marketing.
Right.
And there's just a lot of those crossovers that can happen as people want and have opportunity to move and grow.
And it's so cool. That's the whole point of an internal job posting is sometimes you never know. You don't know who might be interested in something totally different.
Exactly.
You got the culture fit. They're in a totally different department, and you're like, I never thought about that. Let's interview them. Yeah. This is fantastic.
Exactly. It's great.
Nobody ever knew. I think of Travis Hart. He
Yeah.
was an estimator. And so that was a great experience for him, estimating for, I don't know, it was maybe 2 years. And then, they had a posting for superintendent. And he was like, I really think I want to do that. And he is excellent.
Yeah.
He's doing an amazing job. And nobody would have known unless he said something.
Right.
And I don't know if he knew until it was, an opportunity.
Yeah.
But I love that stuff because usually they're going to draw from that previous role, the experience they had in the previous role, to make them better at the new thing.
Yeah. I think about that all the time. If I would have, went to college after I had a job, how much better I would have been with my classes, because it would have been relevant, and I have real world examples. This is the same thing. You take your transferable skills from one place to the next, and you just can kind of rocket forward in your career path when you do that.
You'd be that old lady in the class, like sitting in the front row in the night class.
Exactly.
There was always one of those, are they 30? Is that a 30-year-old? Oh my gosh, they're so old. Yeah. No, I love the whole, not just promoting from within in kind of a silo, but promoting from within on a totally separate path.
Yeah.
And we could talk about those all day. But within the industry, what do you think this is just more of, high level question. Right now, where is the biggest increase in opportunity that you think?
That's the tech side.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Right.
I feel like there's a new tech software thing that pops up every day, or an acquisition and a combination. Now this tech was purchased by this business to, transform the way they do things. I mean, it seems like it's happening every day. That's where there's a huge opportunity.
And you really have to be cautious and diligent about all those things, because you can all of a sudden have 12 softwares, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody starts out with a business, a new opportunity, new technology, with a very clear and obvious goal of solving a problem.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like you look at it and you're like, that is an incredible solution to that problem. And then you're like, well, it's not really that big of a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I mean, that software would be great. But, and usually it doesn't even have to do with the cost benefit. It's just like, okay, yeah, I mean, maybe. But there's so many that you have to be careful about keeping the main thing the main thing.
That's exactly what I was going with this, to say, okay, well, we have to always think first, does it help sell, build, and settle homes?
Yeah.
Does it get in the way of that? Calm down.
Yeah.
It might be very cool, but does not mean that we need to do it.
Well, and our company, it strives for innovation on a daily basis.
It's one of our 3 uniques.
And that's a good thing. But it can be...
It can run away from us very quickly.
Yeah, it can be an opportunity to create a lot of fatigue.
Yes.
For everybody.
Yeah.
And so you got to be mindful of that.
I did want to ask you, within our company, what career or even just position or department surprises you the most that we have now?
Oh, boy. I would say, in terms of innovation or just...
No, just the company.
Yeah. I would say it's probably technology.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it now, we got a lot of proprietary stuff, so I'm not going to talk about it. But
we don't care. We'll just tell anybody.
We don't care. Just what they've developed to understand. So I think about our in-house software developers. We have a handful of them. And
they're amazing.
These are guys that their trade craft is coding, computer coding. And so you can go one of 2 ways with that. You can be an incredible coder, but not ultimately create the product that's necessary, because the code doesn't matter. It's you have to understand what you're trying to accomplish. So you have to take a bunch of construction dummies like us, like me and you, and say,
Can you make it do that?
I want it to look like this kind of, and, Steve, our lead developer, has an incredible ability to take this mess of a brain and he doesn't know anything about it.
I mean, now he does, but
he
didn't.
knows.
Yes.
He gets to know and then turn it into some beautiful, piece of utility that we use on a daily basis.
My marketing heart loves it so much because it's like art. It really is. It's creative. It's like I'm just always so blown away.
Yeah. UX, right? User experience.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely an art. It's a really incredible discipline to have. Not just the functionality.
Correct.
But also how you feel using it.
Yes.
And so that to me comes to mind. I could give you 100 examples, but the technology team, in order to, it's not just to accomplish the goal, it's to make it efficient, make it usable, and drive the business forward. So help us accomplish our main goals.
Yeah.
Selling, building, settling homes. I think what they've been able to do to integrate like existing softwares with something they've created and, it because of our desire to innovate and make those handoffs in the process so clean and quick and efficient, it does drag down, the people using it sometimes because there's constant change. When it's done, it looks really good and it works really well. And I think there's a big piece of that. We've transitioned through a lot of things over the last few years.
Yeah.
I mean, not gone through them, but developed them.
Yeah.
And when it's complete, it's good to look back and be like, well, I mean, now this is a great tool.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Just forget about how we got here. This is a great tool. And, we want to be at the cutting edge. We want to be better than the biggest home builder in the country in terms of
major league player, minor league market.
Yeah.
So that's perfect example of a way that we can do that.
Right. And I'm just excited about the future of that. And the future is, as early as tomorrow. It seems like it changed. We get better every day with that stuff, but they continue to kind of surprise me.
Yeah.
In how it's not just technology. It's technology that you can use. What about you?
Facilities. Yeah, like why would we need that department for building homes? It's the things like that surprise me. I would have never thought about starting out here, that we need someone to we're big enough now too that we need people, not someone, people to manage our buildings and fleet and all of this
and safety,
ancillary,
right,
and things that actually make a huge difference. I mean, things like I would have never really thought about what it takes to hire an employee and what desk they sit at, what chair they use, what all of those things. It's like there's a lot more to every business than you think of. And when you think of a home building industry, you don't think about the fact that you might need somebody to manage the business.
You have an entire team of people dedicated to allowing others to do their job, basically.
I think that's the part and that's the best example is facilities in my mind, but the support that it takes to allow everyone to sell and build homes is mind-blowing to me. And again, that just opens up that opportunity.
Right.
And so many different types of people can work here. It's crazy.
Well, that's a good example. When somebody's hired, how many people get involved in one person's hiring?
Right.
It's a lot.
It is.
You have that whole, workflow from when they accept the offer to when they sit in their desk the first day. And then, like you said, they have to have a space. They have to have all the right equipment. They have to have an email address. They have to have a phone number, a phone, an iPad, a computer, monitors.
Well, and a credit card potentially. So accounting gets involved, compliance gets involved, HR, IT, experience, every support facilities, every support department gets involved when someone's hired.
And then ultimately, they need to have a great first day. And that's experience, like you said, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No,
we meandered
really
around career paths here
Yeah.
today.
Do we ever, like, go in a straight line
I don't
on anything?
Don't even bother.
What do you think, just to wrap that conversation up, like you said, we have our departments that surprise us. We talked about who is going to be, you know, taking a bigger role in the future, technology. What do you think is an opportunity? We can use our business or construction as a whole. Besides technology, where do you think there is greater opportunity out there over the next decade?
The trades.
The trades.
Oh,
I'm glad you said that.
1,000%.
That's the right answer.
Thank you.
For an answer that can't be right or wrong.
Now, why do you think that?
Well, if you ask me right now, if I had no career aspirations and I was 22 coming out of college or high school even, I didn't want to go to college.
Yeah.
Me, right now, what would I do? Just with if I didn't know much about building, it wasn't in my family or anything like that, I would 100% start subcontracting business in the trades. Now, what does that include? That includes drive. You have to have drive. You know, you have to be willing to be a leader and potentially manage people, obviously. But the opportunity to get really good at one thing, really specialized now. So you're not going to be pouring concrete one day. Well, some people call it placing concrete. That's the right way to say it. But I say pouring concrete like a redneck. And framing the next day. You're going to be doing one thing. So these are very specialized trades. So if that's your whole thing, you could get good at it.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to. If you want to obsess about something, you could get really good at it. And the point I'm making is, if I was able to start out and get a van and get my plumbing license, I would work for somebody else for a while, and then I would start my own business. And plumbing's a great example.
Yeah.
Because there's just not a lot of them. And in new construction, it's kind of its own brand. And if I came here and said, I have 2 crews of guys, and all I do is new construction plumbing, they would clear the desk off and be like, when can you start? Right? And, you know, I mean, it's just taking pride in what you do and showing, I can do this. I will do whatever it takes. I will work on my pricing to get it where it needs to be, and I'll figure it out, and I'm a phone call away. You're already a good trade.
Yeah.
If you say those things and do those things, you're good. And so you could work your way up to being the #1 plumber in a region relatively quickly. It's not rocket science, but that's an opportunity.
We need to create a entrepreneur in training class.
Yeah. I've already said, hey, if a 22-year-old kid throws me a business plan that I can get behind, and when I say business plan, some logical steps
Basically,
to creating their business,
what you just laid out,
I will give them $10,000.
Oh yeah, the funding is there.
Yeah,
for situations like this.
20 grand. You know, there's so much low-hanging fruit there. Because again, it's just like in our business, like I said, the people separate themselves. The ones with drive, the ones that really want something and care a ton. The world is yours. We
need to start tapping into our kids' minds right now.
Yeah.
Figure out how to flip the switch from being a YouTube entrepreneur into a trades.
Right. And there's whole podcasts and, you know, cottage industries dedicated to that, so we won't go into that, but that would be, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
So
that's a
MVP?
good, yeah, you're up.
So I will go back to who I was talking about earlier, because Brandon Emick, our VP of Technology, he would be my MVP for a number of reasons, not just because, he created a great career for himself, but he gave us great feedback on the podcast, and he's very intentional. Brandon's a remote employee, but he runs an entire department. That is a challenge in and of itself, just baseline, because, we're in the people business.
Yeah.
And so, but he's very intentional about connecting with people,
Yes,
and communicating really well, and being specific about what he's communicating. And, I think he's just doing a great job, and I love interacting with him, and I'm excited to continue to partner with the technology department to make, our product and experience better.
Yeah, that is the theme today.
Yeah.
That's a perfect tie-in.
So he'd be my guy for the week.
I love it. I agree.
How long's he been here?
18 years.
Wow.
Plus?
No, he started right around when I started.
Okay. Yeah.
So 18, 19. That's awesome.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yes.
So the challenge, I'll continue with the theme here, is something that I was challenged with. I'm participating in a women's leadership circle this year
awesome.
in the home building industry. So that has been a delight, being able to connect with other women leaders. And an exercise that we participated in, the last meeting we had, was to think about what your kind of life achievements are.
Ooh.
In personal and professional, because the idea is to be intentional about your goals. And the only way to be intentional about your goals is to decide what you want.
Yeah.
What is your lifetime achievement? So my challenge is to just think about what that might be. And then that should open up the different opportunities that you might want to take in your career.
Be clear on it.
So if you decide this is my ultimate goal, this is where, when I look back on my life, this is what I want to have achieved, then you can kind of work backwards from there and make intentional steps to make it happen.
I'm going to issue a sub-challenge because you said women in construction, and we were talking about trades.
Yes.
I would love to issue a challenge to the world.
Yes.
In our little world, the 3 regions that we operate in. Can we please have some women apply to be a superintendent?
Yes. We had a intern last year who did a fantastic job in one of the field positions.
Yeah.
So it was kind of our first foray, which is wild to me that it's taken 50 years.
Well,
but I mean, I love this challenge. Maybe we should repeat it every week until it happens.
Don't be nervous. There's support to overcome the stigma, but I would love to see that, because I think it would challenge our male superintendents quite a bit to,
Yeah, tell me why this is because you say this all the time. This is what you want to make happen. Tell me why you want to see a woman superintendent step up.
Well, this has nothing to do with the males I work with. It just has more to do with highlighting the female brain and how you guys operate. And the effective...
Now you got to give some context here, because
I have 4 sisters. And a mom.
Yes.
Yeah, been around women my whole life.
Heavily influencing this decision.
I know my capability is extremely limited in multitasking. and again, generalizing, but I feel very comfortable saying women can multitask at a very high level. And a lot of times superintendents need to multitask.
Yes.
And they need to be effective at managing, juggling balls in the air. And, it just kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And
it does seem like a perfect fit.
We have, you could have 2 people, man or woman. We don't have any women in that role.
Yeah.
So we're missing out on
half the people talent population.
So that's just my little challenge. We'll say that every week.
I love it.
But okay. All right. That was good.
Any questions about career paths that you have? Anything that you want to, talk about? You know what we need to do? We should put our contact information in the podcast. This is...
We'll put it in the notes.
Yeah, generally for our employees, so we assume everybody has our contact information, but you know what? You never know.
Yeah.
So we'll get that in there. Send us your feedback, and we'll be back next week. Have a good one.
Later.